The story of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's relationship with Donald Trump is one of high-stakes diplomacy, unexpected challenges, and constantly shifting strategies. What began as a cautious diplomatic dance soon became a defining chapter in the modern history of both Ukraine and the United States. Their interactions have been shaped by the turbulence of impeachment, the devastation of war, and the relentless scrutiny of global politics. Every meeting, every phone call, and every handshake was analyzed by the world, as both leaders navigated a landscape where the stakes could not have been higher. In February 2024, Zelensky met Trump in the Oval Office, seeking support from a skeptical American leader. The atmosphere was tense, with Zelensky aware that every word could tip the balance for his country's future. By September, the venue had shifted to Trump Tower, a symbol of a new approach and a new phase in their relationship. The change in setting reflected not just a change in location, but a shift in tone and tactics. Zelensky, once a political novice, had become a seasoned diplomat, adapting to the demands of a volatile international stage. He learned to read the room, to anticipate the needs and moods of those across the table, and to project confidence even in moments of uncertainty. The man who entered Trump Tower was transformed, carrying both the burden of war and a carefully crafted plan. He was no longer just a leader seeking help. He was a strategist, determined to secure his nation's future. This script explores Zelensky's strategic evolution, learning from past missteps, listening to allies, and building a coalition of support. He became adept at balancing the expectations of the West with the urgent needs of his people. He tailored his message for Trump, understanding that persuasion required more than just facts. It demanded empathy, timing, and a keen sense of political theater. The contrast between the two meetings reveals a leader who understands that, with Trump, the approach is as important as the ask. Zelensky's ability to adapt his strategy was crucial in keeping Ukraine's cause at the forefront of American attention. Adaptability, not weakness, defines Zelensky's fight for Ukraine's survival. In a world where alliances shift and loyalties are tested, his resilience and willingness to evolve have become his greatest strengths. The February Oval Office meeting was a tough lesson for Zelensky. It was more than just a diplomatic visit. It was a test of his ability to navigate the complex world of American politics, where every gesture and word is scrutinized for meaning. Dressed in a formal suit, he appeared every bit the statesman, but to Trump's base, it signaled establishment politics. The image he projected, intended to convey seriousness and respect, instead reinforced the perception that he was just another foreign politician playing by old rules. His urgent appeals for aid were seen as demanding, not persuasive, and Trump's greatest salesman label stuck. For many, Zelensky's passion came across as pressure, and his directness clashed with the transactional style favored by Trump and his supporters. Zelensky's message of shared democratic values was lost amid America First skepticism. The ideals he championed, freedom, partnership, and mutual defense, struggled to break through a political climate focused on domestic priorities and suspicion of foreign entanglements. Critics saw Ukraine as a distant country draining U.S. resources. For many Americans, the conflict felt remote, and the idea of sending billions overseas was a hard sell, especially when domestic issues dominated the headlines. The meeting ended without strong reassurances, highlighting a disconnect in style and substance. The lack of a clear handshake or warm words was noticed by all, and the press quickly picked up on the tension in the room. Zelensky realized facts and justice weren't enough. He needed to understand the culture and sensitivities of his audience. Winning over American hearts and minds would require more than just logic or appeals to shared values. It demanded a new strategy. The criticism he faced became a painful but valuable roadmap. Each headline, each skeptical question, pointed to the gaps in his approach and the need to adapt. Winning support would require a new language and approach. Zelensky began to rethink his messaging, seeking advice from strategists and learning how to connect with an American audience on their terms. This lesson in optics set the stage for his next encounter with Trump, where every detail would matter even more. The stakes were higher, and Zelensky knew he had to be ready, not just with facts, but with a message that resonated. At Trump Tower, Zelensky's appearance sent a message before he spoke. Gone was the business suit. Instead, he wore a simple black blazer and dark shirt, understated, serious, and relatable. This sartorial shift was deliberate, bridging the gap between wartime leader and statesman. MAGA media, once critical, now praised his look. Even Trump reportedly approved. Zelensky's team showed they understood the power of perception and were willing to adapt. The new look reframed him as a determined peer, not a foreign politician seeking handouts. It was a visual reset, stripping away barriers and signaling, "I'm here on your terms." Knowing his audience, Zelensky projected strength and directness, values Trump supporters respect. The blazer was the first step in a broader strategy to build a crucial bridge. Zelensky's pivot was shaped by advice from European allies familiar with Trump's style. They warned that another misstep could fracture the united front against Russia. Their counsel: avoid confrontation, start with gratitude, and build personal rapport. Direct criticism of Trump or his allies would backfire. Instead, find common ground. Praise and gestures of respect would create a more productive atmosphere. With Trump's recent inflammatory remarks and his running mate's controversial proposals, a confrontational approach risked disaster. European diplomats urged strategic patience and long-term thinking. Zelensky's willingness to listen showed his growth as a statesman and reinforced transatlantic unity. By adopting this blueprint, he wasn't just preparing for Trump, he was strengthening Ukraine's alliances. The collaborative approach was essential for Ukraine's security and survival. Zelensky opened the Trump Tower meeting with gratitude, not demands. He thanked Trump and Melania for delivering a peace letter to Putin about Ukrainian children taken to Russia. This gesture set a cooperative tone and appealed to shared humanity. Zelensky also presented a personal note from Ukraine's First Lady, deepening the personal connection. These actions reframed him as a grateful leader, not a supplicant. Gratitude disarmed potential hostility and allowed Zelensky to control the narrative. Trump, known to value respect, responded positively. This approach was a marked shift from his earlier, less successful appeals. Diplomacy, Zelensky learned, is about finding the right key, and here it was gratitude. The meeting began on common ground, paving the way for more productive talks. After the opening gestures, the conversation turned to the war. Zelensky reported a productive discussion, emphasizing a shared view: the war must end. He stated both agreed Putin can't win and Ukraine must prevail, framing the outcome on Ukraine's terms. Trump didn't contradict this publicly, allowing Ukraine to shape the narrative. Trump reiterated his belief he could solve the conflict quickly, tying it to his potential election win. Both leaders emerged with statements serving their interests, avoiding open conflict. The personal touches, notes, and gratitude smoothed the way for this delicate exchange. Zelensky's careful framing turned a volatile meeting into a constructive step forward. Despite finding common ground, Zelensky and Trump have fundamentally different visions for peace. Zelensky insists on full Russian withdrawal and justice for war crimes, no reward for aggression. Trump's approach is transactional, focused on a quick deal, possibly at Ukraine's expense. His emphasis on relationships and rapid negotiation raises concerns about pressured concessions. Zelensky has criticized Trump's simplistic claims. Trump sees Zelensky as unwilling to compromise. The Trump Tower meeting papered over these differences but didn't resolve them. Zelensky's challenge is to keep influencing Trump, ensuring any deal secures Ukraine's future. The ambiguity remains. A solved conflict could still mean an unacceptable peace for Ukraine. Zelensky's U.S. visit was a balancing act across a divided political landscape. He met Biden and secured new aid before engaging Trump, a calculated move. Every action was scrutinized for partisanship. Even a factory visit drew accusations of election interference. The pressure to remain nonpartisan is immense, with both parties watching closely. Recent revelations of secret U.S.-Russia talks without Ukraine fueled fears of being sidelined. Trump used this to criticize Zelensky, making direct engagement with all sides essential. Zelensky also announced an economic cooperation deal, offering U.S. access to Ukraine's resources. By aligning Ukraine's needs with American interests, he aimed to build durable support. This multifaceted strategy is vital for Ukraine's survival amid Washington's turbulence. Navigating these complexities is as crucial as any battlefield victory. Zelensky's transformation from a political outsider to a wartime leader is a pivotal chapter in Ukraine's fight for survival and Europe's security. His journey has inspired millions, both within Ukraine and around the world, as he's become a symbol of resilience and hope in the face of overwhelming adversity. His shift to adaptive personal diplomacy shows that success on the world stage requires more than a just cause. It demands a deep understanding of power, perception, and the ability to connect with global audiences. Zelensky's approach has redefined what it means to lead during crisis, blending empathy with strategic vision. While world leaders met in New York, war raged at home, underscoring the stakes of every diplomatic move. Each decision made abroad has immediate consequences for those fighting and living in Ukraine's cities and villages, making diplomacy inseparable from the realities on the ground. Zelensky's skill in Washington directly impacts Ukraine's ability to defend itself, as American support remains crucial for military aid, humanitarian relief, and international legitimacy. His new approach also has global implications, keeping the U.S. engaged in European security as isolationism rises. By forging strong alliances, Zelensky helps ensure that Ukraine's struggle is seen as a shared responsibility, not a distant conflict. A stable Ukraine is a bulwark against Russian expansion, vital for the continent's peace and stability. The country's resilience sends a message to other nations facing similar threats. Zelensky's evolution proves that the fight for freedom is waged in both diplomacy and battle. His leadership bridges the gap between the front lines and the negotiating table, showing that both are essential for Ukraine's future. The Trump Tower meeting was just one event, but it symbolized a broader mastery of modern statecraft. Navigating complex relationships, Zelensky has shown a willingness to engage with all sides to secure Ukraine's interests. By building bridges, even with unlikely partners, Zelensky gives Ukraine a better chance at a just, lasting peace. His actions today will shape not only Ukraine's destiny, but the future of Europe and the world.